This was the first memorial that I witnessed, and I had to do a video on it. I was appalled. I could not believe that that is what you call the memorial. Listening to a talk, after which you go into the ceremony of passing the bread and the wine, in complete contrast to what Jesus commanded. Jesus commanded that you eat the bread and that you drink the wine. Is that what you do? How dare you then suggest that you are observing the memorial? You are actually observing what some people call a black mass, where you make a mockery of the memorial of Jesus Christ. You do not eat the bread, you do not drink the wine. You pass it around. And then you have a spectacle where you're calling people to come together to observe you. Observing the memorial. Observing the memorial, my foot. That is not observing the memorial. As I said, that is a mockery of what Jesus and his disciples did in the upper room. Not one of them passed it around. And you speak about this nonsense about people having to be anointed in order to participate, when by your very own teaching, not one of the apostles who participated in that first supper was anointed, because their anointed came at Pentecost. So there is absolutely nothing about what you do that is reminiscent of what Jesus and his disciples did. So it is a fraud, it is a sham to ever suggest that you are observing the memorial. And to add insult to injury, Cook actually said this:
even a global pandemic could not stop us from being united in true worship. As Jesus said at John 14:15, "If you love me, you will observe my commandments."
He had the audacity to suggest that what you do is observe Jesus' commandments. Jesus instructed you to eat and to drink. Jesus actually gave another command that I will take this time to remind you of.
Then Jesus said unto them, Verily, verily, I say unto you, except ye eat the flesh of the Son of Man, and drink his blood, ye have no life in you.
You reject his body. You reject his blood. You pass it around in disobedience to his command. And not only do you boast that you are keeping his commandment, you dare call it true worship. If this is not Satan making a mockery of Christ, I don't know what this is. These men remind me so much of so many of Jesus' words.
Ye hypocrites, well did Isaiah prophesy of you, saying, This people draweth nigh unto me with their mouth, and honoureth me with their lips, but their heart is far from me. But in vain they do worship me, teaching for doctrines the commandments of men.
Honouring the Lord with their lips. This is nothing but lip service. And it is the very same lip service that is being presented here when Cook is telling you about the genuine concern, the loving, sincere concern that they have for you during this time. And they call this true worship. Do you know what Jesus says about people like you? Forgive me. If you believe that Winston is here condemning you, you have another one coming. These are the words of Jesus Christ himself.
Howbeit in vain do they worship me, teaching for doctrines the commandments of men.
True worship, the Lord says, in vain do you worship him, teaching for doctrine the commandments of men. He commanded you to eat the bread and to drink the wine. The governing body commands you not to do it, and you obey the governing body. You are keeping the commandments of the governing body, and they dare to utter from their lips Jesus' words about those who love him, keeping his commandments.